Hi, this is Mark. Congratulations, you have found this amazingly awesome show. Chances are you're listening to it right now on whether it's iTunes or Stitcher Radio or some other mobile app that allows you to stream this amazingly awesome show to your ear holes. And I can't stress how awesomely amazing this show really is. But did you know that you can also catch the latest episode of this show on the Tangibound Network? That's right. Go check out tangiboundnetwork.com. You can look them up, and you can listen to it right there. It's even mobile friendly. What more could you ask for? Which means you can pull it up on your iPhone or your Android, even your Windows phone. Yeah, who has one of those? But still, point remains, you can do it. You can do it. Check it out, tangiboundnetwork.com. Listen to this show, the latest episode, every time. Check it out.
Hello, everybody. This is Andrew Sherman of the MLBeers podcast with co-host Philip Corwin. Philip, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, battling this chest cold with a lot of beer, so it's working well.
I think that's the recommended thing to do is the battle chest colds or any type of ailments in the winter with ales. So, but anyway, new year. Maybe new us. I don't know.
No, I'm still going to do the same shitty things I've done before.
Well, I'm talking about the podcast, but I mean, you can do whatever you want. No, but
told myself I was going to work out more.
Hey, it's still early. Don't worry about that. But anyway, we are finally back after was going to be a 2-week hiatus, turned into a month hiatus because of me graduating from college with a lovely 2.96 transfer GPA. My actual GPA was 2.65 or something like that.
Oh man, you barely scraped it by.
I mean for journalism it's 2.5, so I'm like, so I definitely beat that, but I kind of wish I, did a bit better, but it's whatever. I finally graduated. I'll be getting that paper probably 2 weeks from now, so I'm not really worried about that. So, I mean, besides me graduating, what did you do on your month hiatus?
I worked at a retail store and probably only didn't murder anybody physically.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need murders around here. I mean, I think I've already deal with enough being part of the news scene in Springfield.
But yeah. No, it was just, super busy month, but it's all over now. So I won't have to deal with that again.
Well, that's good.
Until next year. But yeah, no, it went well. Did the holiday stuff with the fan band.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, and just kind of hung out.
Awesome.
And watched nearly nothing happen in MLB offseason so far.
Yeah, which, of course, that's what we're here. We're going to be talking about what happened the week of me graduating and taking finals, and I will never forget not being able to go to Orlando for the winter meetings. But we're going to be talking about that, of course, and a little bit of rumors, a little bit of everything, of course, that's been going on in December that really was only two things and nothing else, as I could say. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about the beers. But let's get to the first thing. I think the one thing that I was more worried about than you was Shohei Ohtani, the wonderful pitcher / right fielder out of Japan, finally signs to a team that we weren't guessing at all. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and yes, I went with the full name just to, I guess, piss people off, but really unexpected from the Los Angeles Angels. Would you agree with that?
You know, when it got later and later in his talks, it was clearly evident that he was going to go to a West Coast team.
Mm-hmm.
But of all the teams, the Angels, I just didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw more of the Seattle Mariners.
I was kind of the same too. And
I don't know if that has anything to do with what kind of impact Ichiro had there, or how they were able to handle Ichiro, but just the Angels weren't on the top of that list.
Yeah, because I mean, originally when the list was being started, it was, of course, like you said, a West Coast team, but definitely it was looking towards, the Los Angeles Dodgers, somehow the San Diego Padres, Oakland, San Francisco, and of course the Seattle Mariners. And to be honest with you, I thought really the Seattle Mariners were in the forefront. I know a lot of people were talking about Yankees being on that list, but I knew that it wasn't going to happen, even though the Yankees don't really have enough on the payroll to do that, because now they're over the luxury tax threshold, and it would have been the same with the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I know that Ohtani would have been, chump change pretty much. He wasn't going to be making, buku bucks out of it. But since they were already over that threshold, the more money you put in, the severe the penalty will be when you have to pay, to the competitive balance tax that they have. But really, I thought the Seattle Mariners were going to do it, like you brought up, Ichiro Suzuki being there going into the 2000s. I thought that was going to be kind of an influence with that, a very heavy Japanese base there. I mean, hell, I believe like almost half the damn signs ads at the games are in Japanese. So, I mean, I thought that was the place to go. I thought it was perfect for, Shohei Ohtani. He would have been the face of the franchise, right with Nelson Cruz, Robinson Cano.
They have the older Seager brother.
Yeah, Kyle Seager and
now D. Gordon.
Which I'll bring that up in a moment, and
they have a surprisingly good rookie last year, Mitch Hanger.
Yeah, Mitch Haniger was which was really good, but they also have King Felix Hernandez. That's who I was thinking of. That would have been a really great combo, and I know that earlier in the season that not in the season, but off season I should say, that they didn't re-sign Iwakuma, which he was the second on the rotation, which would have definitely been a great help as an influence when it comes to, the Japanese influence, the Japanese culture, a great transitional guy. But looking at it, it's great that the Los Angeles Angels got him. I mean, it definitely now finally helps Mike Trout and all that. But it's just like, for me, very, very odd to see him go there. And like you brought up just a couple minutes ago, a couple seconds actually, the Seattle Mariners, the day before that Ohtani really supplanted who he was going to, the Marlins traded D. Gordon to Seattle for a couple of prospects, and I was ready to be on the Seattle bandwagon. There he goes. They got another guy that will really help them, and nope, not at all. He goes to the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting to see, because there hasn't been a true two-way player last one, there's Rick and Keel, but he went from pitching to outfield.
Yeah, but he wasn't doing it at the same time. That's the difference maker.
That's what I mean is that we haven't had one of these types of players
since Babe Ruth, which is why they call him the Japanese Babe Ruth over in Japan. My question to you, though, about this whole thing with Ohtani, and really after Los Angeles Angels got Ohtani, a lot of things fell into their laps. They got a couple of guys through signings. I believe they got Brandon Phillips in a trade, I believe, or got him off of free agency. They got a couple guys. Where do you see them now? When the season was over, I was totally thinking, all right, they're going to do the same thing again. But with the addition of Ohtani and the other characters in this cast that were just signed over the offseason, where do you see them now?
Well, you can look at it. They went out and got Zach Cozart, and he's agreed to move over to third base because on the left side of that infield now, you got Andrell Simmons and Zach Cozart. You can argue that's probably the best left side defense in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Mike Trout in center, and then you got Ohtani pitching and DHing for you. And they got Cole Calhoun. I don't know. I can't remember who their catcher was.
They had Chris Iannetta, but he signed with the Rockies.
Okay. And then their second baseman, off the top of my head, I can't think of one. And then they got...
Yeah, go ahead.
And then they got Garrett Richards. So really, the Angels are in the AL West. They're competing with the Mariners, Oakland, and Houston.
Mm-hmm.
At best, they're going to be playing very well to get that first wild card spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way the Astros are playing, there's no question that they shouldn't be the favorites going in to win the division again.
Yeah, and
so the
I
Angels
totally
played a
agree
very
with that.
strong hand in doing what they can to secure that first wild card spot. But as always, are the Angels pitchers able to stay healthy?
Mm-hmm.
And are they going to have enough bullpen depth to get it done?
Yeah, and that is the question.
And how many plate appearances are you going to let Pujols have?
Yeah, and you bring that up, and I just while you were talking, while I was listening, pulled up the 25-man roster from Roster Resource, which to me is probably one of the three best websites to look at day-to-day rosters and also minor leagues. So, from the batting order that is projected by Roster Resource, a guy that I totally missed and I should have remembered because he's a Mizzou guy. First up, second base, Ian Kinsler. Second, center fielder, Mike Trout. Third, Justin Upton in the left field. Then at DH, Albert Pujols. Fifth spot, we have Cole Calhoun, which he is the right fielder. And that will be probably the part where he switches with Ohtani some days, or he switches with Albert Pujols at the DH spot. In the sixth, we have third baseman Zach Cozart. We have in the seventh, we have shortstop Andrelton Simmons. Eighth, we have first baseman Luis Valbuena, which he did well when he was with the Astros. I'm not going to say, superb 290s.
Well, it gets him away from playing third base.
Yes.
So that's important.
Yes. And then, of course, catcher in the ninth spot, Martin Maldonado, which I believe he just won Gold Glove. But, yeah, that lineup went from probably gutter team where in a couple years Mike Trout would want to be traded when he hit arbitration and all that stuff, to now being this incredible team that is not only going to fight for a spot for, first place in the division and fight against the Houston Astros, but could definitely be a team where they will be, pole vaulted to maybe the number one or number two team in the AL period and maybe top 4, top 3 in the MLB because of that lineup. And I know Pujols
as long as those guys produce the way they can,
mm-hmm.
The guys in that lineup that are going to worry you is Ian Kinsler going to be able to have a bounce back year?
Mm-hmm.
Is Pujols going to be able to? He'll always be able to drive in the RBIs, but
is he going to be patient at the plate?
Yeah, and between those two guys, those are two important guys in your lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And Cole Calhoun, I'm sure his WAR is about replacement level or maybe a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Upton, good. Zach Cozart, good. Simmons, good. Mike Trout, great.
Yeah.
Otani, we don't know.
And you're right, we don't know, but I mean the projections way up to the ceiling.
Yeah, but is he going to be able to handle a full pitching in the major league season, facing better hitters? And if he does start to struggle, confidence is key in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
If he starts to struggle, is it going to affect his performance?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, from everything that I've seen and hopefully from last year, when last year before he decided to not be part of the Japanese team in the WBC, we were all ready to go to watch him, everybody wake up 4 o'clock in the morning to watch, Japan play somebody and see him pitch. But, out of all of this, we really don't know because there's nobody. I mean, I even tried to find, Japanese baseball games around 12 o'clock at night, which is, I think, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Japan. But try to find these games, and it's just difficult to find. And so you have to rely on these Twitter accounts to see if he's really, if he's able to handle it, because everything that you watch are highlights, and of course, highlights are the highlights. It's not lowlights,
And his highlights, it shows he has the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hitting and pitching, he has the stuff to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is he's playing in the highest competitive league in the world now.
Yeah. And
is he going to be able to compete with those types of hitters?
Mm-hmm. That will be the difference maker, that will be the difference maker for, him, for the Angels. I mean, yeah, there's
all
8 other
that
guys.
Are hyping him up.
Yeah.
There's going to be a learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's not a learning curve, then the dude's just fucking great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He can just turn it on and be good no matter where he's playing. And if that's the case, then awesome. The Angels are going to be selling tickets like crazy every game he pitches.
Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, the first few games they're going to be selling out anyways.
But after that, after the first 2 months of the season, if he's still just blowing the lights out,
mm-hmm.
Angels are going to be selling tickets like crazy.
Yeah. And now it's just going to be it's going to depend if his ankle is going to be okay for this season, and also if he can adjust to the diameter of the baseball in the U.S. compared to the baseball in Japan, which I think, if I remember correctly, the baseball in Japan is a little bit smaller, so the pitchers can have more control of it and more movement with it. So it's going to be up in the air, and it's going to be fun.
That learning curve.
Yeah, exactly.
And if he goes in spring training and his ankle's still a little hurt, I wouldn't be surprised if they send him to extended spring training and not have him on the opening day roster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not that wouldn't surprise me, because for them, he's a long-term investment.
Yeah, I mean, the kid's only 23, 24.
Exactly.
So
and he's a long-term investment, and you don't want to push him too much right off the bat, because we've seen that go bad.
Mm-hmm.
To where the guys start their career where they're this highly touted prospect and they struggle, and they just ended up becoming a little bit better than an average baseball player.
kind of becomes a shell of themselves, when they're like that. I mean, it's kind of like Jeff Francoeur in a way.
Yep. And that was, you saw, especially in Jeff Francoeur's late career, you could see you could see how good of a baseball player he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he ever reached that full potential everyone thought he was going to be able to do.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And so, final thoughts on Shohei Ohtani. I mean, it could be anything that you want to say.
It's going to be fun.
Fun.
It's going to be fun.
Fun.
And I
period.
guarantee the first game he pitches, I will be watching it.
I think a lot of people will not only be, getting on ESPN, because I bet you it's going to be a nationally broadcast game. No matter
if
what.
it's not, the MLB is missing a very marketable game.
Mm-hmm.
Marketable game.
Yeah, because everybody is not only going to be sitting down watching it on TV, they're going to be pulling out iPhones, iPads, your tablets, your smartphones, all that stuff. And he's going to make money.
Will be everywhere.
Yes, exactly. He's going to make money for the MLB for at least the first 2 months.
In Japan.
Oh, man.
He's going to be one of, since him, who was the last big star to come over?
I mean, Kenta Maeda, but he wasn't, didn't have that big potential,
Yeah.
Ichiro Suzuki is like the last person to do that.
Yeah. He's coming over at 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yu Darvish didn't come over that young.
Nope. Maeda, nope. Ichiro was 27, 28 when he came over.
That's what I mean. He's 23 years old. He has the potential to just be a new type of player.
Mm-hmm.
And they could be a whole new future for the MLB.
Exactly.
Because how many kids who are, you could argue, 8 to 12 years old watching him, who do pitch and hit now, but by the time they start playing the competitive travel ball and stuff, they can become specialized.
Mm-hmm.
How many kids are saying, no, fuck that, I want to do both.
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep doing both.
Mm-hmm.
And that just transitions.
Yeah, and it also, thinking about that the two ways real quick, it's like this is kind of the speed up process of what Brendan McKay could be with the Tampa Bay Rays. He was both, he hit and he pitched for Louisville in college. So, This is kind of the fast forward to that, not necessarily being Brendan McKay, but it's definitely to see if this is possible, if they're going to let some of the players play both, or they're going to let some of the players be specialized. And this is definitely,
And I'm not knocking players that are kids that want to be specialized, because if you get really good at one thing, you're going to make money somewhere.
Hone that skill.
Yeah, exactly. So is honing that one skill or those set of skills better than being able to be good at all the skills?
That's a very good question. And, to the Yankees, this is, trying to segue here, to the Yankees, somebody honed their skill really well, and now they have Giancarlo Stanton, the home run hitter from the Marlins, to now the Yankees, which, do I want to talk about the Yankees? Nah.
Pull up their projected lineup for 2018.
Yeah, I have it already. I was like,
okay, don't tell me it.
Okay.
I'm going to try to guess where they're hitting.
Okay.
So I'm going to guess Judge, Stanton, and Sanchez, because those are the three top premier home run hitters, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. In the Yankee Stadium, pretty much any player can hit 25 home runs in a year.
I'm pretty sure Ichiro Suzuki could. Well, he could have, but he didn't play much.
Do you remember his quote? I could be a power hitter if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm guessing Judge bats third.
I'm not going to tell you. You have to give me the full thing.
I believe it's going to go Judge third, Stanton 4, Sanchez 5.
you actually have one fully correct. You have
two around.
You have one that you have in the right spot. Because you have, okay, you said Judge third.
Yeah.
Stanton fourth, and
Sanchez
fifth. You got the Sanchez one right. But
okay. Did I flip the other two?
No, actually. You have it partially right. One of them is going to hit third. This is a really weird lineup because I would definitely like to see that 3-4-5 being Judge, Stanton, Sanchez. But it's not going to be that.
Break them up because they strike out too much.
Yeah, because I don't want.
Yeah, because you don't want to bat Stanton back to back, Stanton and Judge back to back like that. Because if you get your 1 and 2 hitters on, and Judge and Stanton both strike out, okay.
Well, okay. Think about this though. I'm gonna tell you that
all right.
In the projected 25-man roster, the starting lineup, Judge will be hitting second, Stanton third, and like I said, Gary Sanchez fifth. This is my thinking though, and I recently, thought about this with Barry Bonds.
Your second and third guys in the lineup typically get the most at bats in a season.
Yes. Not only that, but if you think about it, no matter what, this is going to be like a Barry Bonds, Jeff Kent situation. You either have Judge or Stanton at the 2 spot, and everybody's going to freak out, and they'll want to start walking like they did with Bonds, and then they're already going to have a runner on base, and then depending how, the game goes, that could be equal to 2. That could equal to, bases loaded because they don't want to give Judge or Stanton the opportunity, to hit if they do switch, switch in this order, being in the second spot. But this is very interesting because Jeff Kent, good player, he'll probably be in the Hall of almost great, if I'm saying that correctly. But anyway, if Judge becomes the quote-unquote Bonds in this situation, Giancarlo Stanton is going to have the opportunity to get more balls into, the strike zone. And that's going to be the difference maker if we're going to be seeing Giancarlo Stanton hit more home runs. I mean, hell, he hit 60, I believe, or 59. And
so with him being in Yankee Stadium, is he going to hit 70?
There's a possibility. I'm not going to deny that at all. I think there is a possibility that Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge will be hitting, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be like Maris Mantle, back in 61, I believe, or 60, when they were winning together. This is kind of the same thing in a way. We could see a lot of home runs from this, and we could see a lot of psychological things going on in the pitcher's mind.
Who's batting fourth in their projection?
Greg Bird. And he's not a bad player. He's not a bad player. Don't get me wrong.
Not at all. And he's a power hitter as well.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, don't get us wrong. That Greg
Gregorius
Bird
leading off.
Say that again.
Is Gregorius leading off?
No, I'll give you the full.
Okay.
I'll give you the rest. So 1 is Gardner, 4th is Bird, Gregorius is 6th, Aaron Hicks is 7th, Miguel Andujar will be their third baseman, which he's a minor leaguer, and Ronald Torres, if I'm saying that correctly, will be hitting 9th, and he'll be at second base.
Second, okay.
But yeah,
so their 7, 8, 9 hitters are a little sketchy.
Yeah, because you're dealing with a guy that is an average player with Hicks, and then you have 2 really unknown players, with Andujar and Torres because they're minor leaguers.
I'm assuming both of them just play good defense, though.
That's what I'm thinking too. And
That they're
because
just sacrificing second and third base because they got so much money wrapped up in 1 through 6.
yeah, because I mean,
But
and
if
also,
you're fielding the players, they're fielding 1 through 6.
mhm.
As long as because Greg Bird was hurt last year.
Yeah, he was hurt possibly
Not all year.
I'd say half the season. He did. I
Yeah.
believe he did have a little stint in the playoffs, but I mean, looking at all of this, to me,
No,
they're 1 through 6, phenomenal. And also, the weird thing about this is, if we go through it, Brett Gardner, Aaron Judge, Stanton, Bird, Sanchez, and Gregorius. If everything is correct, Didi Gregorius is not getting paid a lot. Gary Sanchez, not getting paid a lot. Greg
there's Aaron
Bird,
Judge.
not getting paid a lot. Aaron Judge, not getting paid a lot. Brett Gardner and Stanton are the only two that are getting paid, but Brett Gardner is not getting Stanton money. So that's where it's like 4 out of the 6 guys.
And when's the last time the Yankees really had that kind of young core in their farm system? Because they still have. Do they still have Mason Williams?
Let's do a little check, shall we? What position would he be playing?
Center field.
Center field. No, he is not. Let me check the corner outfields, though.
Okay. Because I know for a while he was on a top prospect list.
Nope, he is not. He probably was traded. I think he might have been traded in the. Why do I feel like he was traded in the Chapman deal when they traded him? But let me see the Chicago Cubs. But yeah, but getting back to it, it's like the last time we saw that was probably the Big Four back in the 90s with Jeter, Jeter and all of them, but they weren't as like power hitters. They were just guys that, the 4 guys that came up through the system. They weren't, like I said, they were great players, but not necessarily these power hitters. And
Yeah, no, he's with the Reds now.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm trying to see where they
darn roster resource, because I would love that they would have like links on their names.
Right.
Oh, okay. So actually, he went to this fall. So
Yeah.
Anyway,
He just signed with them.
yeah. So anyway, getting back to what I'm saying, what you're saying, is that really looking at this club definitely propels them up, like we said with the Angels, definitely propels them up to being a really, really great club. And I think...
Can I just hit on Mason Williams real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
January of 2014, I know that's 3 years ago, he was number 75 on the top 100.
Which one? Baseball America or Prospectus?
Baseball America.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. And granted, that's 3 years ago, but
Mhm.
I just kind of said, before they, let him go or whatever, the Yankees were building a pretty good farm system very quietly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that makes sense because it's like when you hear about the Yankees, it's all about, the money. We don't think about their minor league system, even though the past few years it has finally came out with, more of Gary Sanchez and Greg Bird. But, I mean, we didn't even hear about Aaron Judge until last year, pretty much. We didn't hear about, let me see. See, this is another thing that they should.
But what the Yankees are going to have to do is that, they signed Sabathia to another 1-year deal.
Yeah.
They still got a good bullpen
Mm-hmm.
between Dylan Betances and Aroldis Chapman.
But
they still got good stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, just the Yankees are going to be a very tough team.
I think I will have to say, depending on what the Red Sox do, I'm going to say it now. New
They
York
have to be
Yankees,
favorites to win the AL East.
division winners. I'm just going to say that now. Division winners, right as of right now. That
Though
means
the Red Sox might have better pitching, depending
yes,
on what David Price is able to do.
yes,
If David Price can come back and be a dominant starting pitcher, that's going to propel the Red Sox to really compete for that top spot.
Yeah, and that's going to be, I mean, that's always going to be the difference maker between these clubs, you know, between the Red Sox and the Yankees. Is there going to be a moment where the Red Sox going, you know, are they going to, you know, beat the Yankees again? Because, I mean, if I remember correctly, this is the second year I think this is the first time ever that the Red Sox went back-to-back with AL East division titles. And that's, I mean, the East is always a very interesting to watch because of those teams with the Yankees, with the Red Sox, with the Blue Jays, with the Orioles and the Rays. I think it's just very interesting to see all of that. But, you know, we kind of talked about Judge a little bit, but we really haven't, I mean, and the impact that he will be. But when you first heard the news, how did you feel about it?
I was a little surprised. And overall, it just kind of solidified that the Yankees are really going after the Astros. I think the Yankees walked away with a little bit of sour taste in their mouth after losing the ALCS, and that they didn't want that to happen again. And they know having Stanton and Judge and Bird and just that lineup, doesn't matter how well you pitch against it, they're going to score runs. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it, is that they were able to go all in because, like we brought up, Judge, Sanchez, and Bird and Gregorius aren't making a whole lot of money.
Yeah. Still on those rookie contracts.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's kind of the difference maker with that. For me, when I heard about this, you know, how it was all going down, I was, you know, kind of upset a little bit. Of course, I know that sounds dumb, but of course, when he was part of rumors of your favorite team, your ears perk up and you're just like, oh, come on, you know, just wanting him to be on the team. Of course, I can't do anything about it, but it was just that moment where it was just like, when I heard that he was officially a Yankee, was just disheartening, because it's just like, why? You know, why is this happening? And so that's why I'm just, just a bit disappointed. And I think that's where, I stand as, a Cardinals fan, being a part of those conversations. And then he was just like, yeah, we never really had any conversations about that, but just whatevers. So it's just like, for me, I'm PO'd about it. I'm pissed off and mad. But, I mean, I don't think the Cardinals would have taken that. I mean, it would have been a dumb idea to take that contract on.
Oh, yeah. But
yeah, go ahead.
Once you figure out. But what the Cardinals were able to get from the Marlins later, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which actually almost kind of a good segue, because I wanted to talk about their contracts real quick with Gary Sanchez and all that. So Gary Sanchez, we know that we were talking about rookie money. This is how much Gary Sanchez made in 2017. $557,000, if I can actually speak. Then Greg Bird, $554,000. Aaron Judge, $544,000. That's ridiculous. And Didi Gregorius, I know he's young and all that stuff, but he's actually making $5,000. But then if you go to Brett Gardner, he's making $12.5 million, I should say. Didi Gregorius, $5.1 million, if I, said that incorrectly. But it's just like those don't even, looking at it, those don't even add up to $2 million. So it's just like you got some good prizes right there. So
yeah,
can't hate that.
That's what I mean. The Yankees had the money to take on that Stanton payroll,
and did it wisely. Let's not forget about that. They did it wisely, and that's kind of the good thing. But besides all of that, besides Ohtani going to the Angels, which is still surprising to this day, Giancarlo Stanton going to the Yankees, I think we got to kind of talk about the other, I guess they say AAA type of money, the big ones. Now let's, reel it back in maybe to the AA, single A type of, trades that happened in the offseason. For me, we have already talked about this one. The Marlins traded D. Gordon for a couple of prospects to the Seattle Mariners, which we thought was definitely the icebreaker for Ohtani to get there. The other thing that was kind of weird for me was the New York Yankees traded Chase Headley, Brian Mitchell for and some cash to get Jabari Blash from the San Diego Padres, which I think for me, just looking at this, not knowing both the clubs as well, I think, of course, San Diego kind of won in a sense because they did get Brian Mitchell, which he is, a pretty good talent. Definitely a relief pitcher, if I remember correctly. Chase Headley is, he's over the 30-year mark, but he played for San Diego before he went to the Yankees, so he kind of comes back for the Padres, kind of a, I guess, a sentimental type of trade for that. And Jabari Blash, from one of our friends on Twitter, kind of saw Blash being a, middle of the road, 3 to 4 star type of guy. I know we're going into stars, but he was going to be a average to above average player. So that was kind of the odd one for me. But the other one that you brought up, that I really enjoyed, of course, it has to deal with the St. Louis Cardinals, was the Marlins traded Marcell Ozuna to the St. Louis Cardinals. But this makes me sad because I've watched...
Yeah, you guys lost a couple good prospects out of it.
But it's sad for me, not only because we lost a couple good prospects, but I watched these kids because I worked for the Springfield Cardinals. So it's just like, oh, sadness. But the Cardinals gave up Sandy Alcantara, Magnier Sierra, and Zach Gallen, which Alcantara will, at first he was going to be starting pitcher, but going to look more as a reliever, probably a closer because he can throw the freaking ball fast. Then Magnier Sierra, he's outstanding. He has speed. I believe one game this past year, he hit an inside the park home run against the Milwaukee Brewers. And also, it happened right in front of me when I was working with the Springfield Cardinals, which was really cool. Those two guys, I think Alcantara will be really good in the MLB. I think Magnier Sierra will be an everyday starter to probably an all-star, not necessarily saying a Hall of Famer, but I think he's going to have really great years, especially in that Marlins system. And then Zach Gallen, he would be the guy that would be the the starting pitcher out of this. Really worked well in single A, did really well in double A, and I think, hopefully this, for all three of those guys, I will say knowing what the hell goes on with the Cardinals system, this is a good thing that it's happening to them, because there is a major jam up in the starting pitching spot. I mean, 4 and 5 can always interchange, but if they want to be the 1, 2, or 3, I think that's going to be impossible for them. But for Zach Gallen, it will be great for him to, if he becomes a good everyday pitcher, well, not every day, but a great starter, it's great for him. He can, fill in one of those 5 spots in the rotation. Sandy Alcantara will definitely flourish with a, average to above average bullpen that the Marlins have. And then Magneuris Sierra will definitely fill in the gap between, Christian Yelich, either in the left or right field or center, depending. Yeah, left or right. I was thinking Ozuna played center, but he will be those 3 guys are a great addition to the Marlins organization, and I definitely wish them the best. But that's definitely, the ones that I've, definitely the ones that I see. I mean, there's other ones, but I want to hear yours first before I, try to talk about the other ones.
Really, the one I'm really going to be following that I liked is that when you hear that D. Gordon's traded to the Mariners, your thought is, where's he going to play?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't play short, he plays second.
Yeah.
Cano is entrenched at second base there.
Yeah. And it's hard to take away a bomber from second.
Yep. And so he's going to be playing center field.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no doubt that he has the speed to cover it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's never regularly taking pop flies and line drives like that in his career.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how well that goes. And
Mm-hmm.
that also means that the Mariners won't be re-signing Gerard Dyson.
Yes.
So that one's just going to be fun to watch, just to watch a player that's traditionally played second base his whole career make this shift out to the outfield. And not even left or right field, but center field, where he's covering the most ground.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense for him because he has that kind of speed to do it.
Yeah.
And really, same thing with Zach Cozart, making the move to third base. But the one that kind of throws me off the most is Carlos Santana signing with the Phillies.
Yeah, that is another one that I'm odd. It's odd for me
because it's not like a 6-7 year deal. It's only a 3-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, he's getting paid $20 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
But the Phillies aren't quite out of their rebuild phase yet.
They're on the upswing. They're like at the start of the upswing for this.
Yeah, they're right at the start of the upswing. So maybe the Phillies front office, their idea is they get a veteran player in at third base for those first 3 years of that upswing.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of propels them further.
Yeah.
But as a player at Santana's age and how well, he played for the Indians and won a World Series with the Indians.
Didn't win a World Series with the Indians.
Oh, I'm sorry. They lost it. They lost it 3-1.
I don't know. I don't know if that was supposed to be a jab at the Indians.
I just forgot. I knew it went to Game 7, and then I was just rattling off. But played in a World Series with the Indians.
No, it's all good.
And
I love it.
And had a very good chance of making it again this past season. And going into this season, the Indians are still fucking good.
Mm-hmm. It's true. You're right.
And he signs with the Phillies. It's just, to me, that's just weird.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely something to think about, but let me get Fangraphs up. But I'm going to tell you what the lineup looks like in this situation. So from 1 to 8 for the Phillies, we have up first, we have second baseman Cesar Hernandez, which I mean, from what I've heard, he's done well and, about to pull up the stats from the 2017 season. He looks like, to be honest with you, probably one of the best hitters on that team.
Okay.
And of course, one of the best hitters on the team, which he hit 294. I mean, there was other guys that had, that played, certain other games. But yeah, he hit 294. One of the best hitters on that. Second, center fielder Adrubal Herrera. Another guy that did well for them. And a young guy at that, considering...
That's what I mean, this Phillies team is young.
Yeah. And then, of course, Carlos Santana will be hitting third in the first base, playing first base. Then in the fourth spot, a guy that, I mean, he did really well at the end of the year. Hopefully that, transitions into the 2018 season. But Ray's Hoskins, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yep.
The left fielder.
Yep.
He will be in the fourth spot. And I think he'll do really well for them. I mean, he hit 241, but he had that 18 home runs in 50 games. So, I mean, there is that possibility. Yeah, the power is there. Then in the fifth spot, they had Nick Williams, which he hit 288, which again, did pretty well. And then let's go back real quick. Then they have at third base in the sixth spot, Maikel Franco, which looking at the stats real quick.
I want to say he was like a 270.
I want to say that, and I have this set up to WAR because because the thing is I was setting it up to batting averages, and I was getting...
You were getting guys that were hitting 1,000 that played 3 games?
Probably less than that. But
yeah.
Actually, 1 game, and they were hitting 1,000. But I think Maikel Franco, hot guy, but, he had a lot of, name recognition. Didn't do well this year, 234, 230, 281 slash line. Really, really bad, but, I mean, to the Phillies organization, they really liked him. In the 7th spot, they have shortstop J.P. Crawford, that's the guy they're excited about. Yeah, it was Maikel Franco, and then J.P. Crawford was the excitement.
And they traded Freddie Galvis to the Padres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because Freddie Galvis was pretty entrenched at shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
He was eating up a little bit of money, and the Phillies didn't want to wait any longer on J.P. Crawford to start every day there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, he's only 23, so if they can get him for a very long time, why not?
Yep.
So, and then I was about to say at center, thinking about basketball, but at catcher, they have Jorge Alfaro, which I believe he was like in the top 5 of the Gold Glove conversation. So they got a lot of guys that are young, and going down. Yeah, go ahead.
Like you said, it's the start of their upswing.
Yeah, and
you kind of saw it earlier in the season with the Phillies. They were playing really well,
mm-hmm.
but then you saw it. They just couldn't maintain it.
Yeah, and talking about that, start of the upswing. They are very young. Just their lineup, because I'm not going to talk about their pitching because the pitching is young, but just their lineup from 1 through 8. Hernandez, 27.6. Herrera, 26 even. Santana, 31.7. And that, the points are, depending, birth dates and all that stuff, just for the people listening. Anyway, Hoskin, 24.8. Williams, 24.3. Franco, 25.4. J.P. Crawford, 23 even. And Jorge Alfaro, 24.6.
So in their starting 9.
Starting 8, and if you want to go, if you even want to go starting 9, I'll go down the list for you. Aaron Nola, 24.6. Jared Eckhoff, 27.5. Vince Velasquez, 25.6. Nick Pivetta, if I'm saying that correctly. If any Phillies fans, if I'm wrong on saying that, I'm sorry. Anyway, 24.9. And Ben Lively, 25.8.
That means right now in their about, what is that? About 17 players?
Yeah. Actually, 13 players. 13 players, only one person is over the age of 30.
Philly fans have something to be excited about.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be fun for, Phillies fans to come. It's going to be, they're going to party like it's 08, if I'm correct. Yeah, 08 when they won the title. But if just even looking at the bench players, position bench players, only one guy is going to be over. Actually, two are going to be over 30 by the middle of the season. Then in the, of course, bullpen, you're always going to have the older guys. But still, you have Pat Neshek, which he just signed recently, and then you would have Luis Garcia, which again would be over the age of 30, and then Tommy Hunter, a guy that they just signed recently, will be in the bullpen for them. Those three guys are over 30. So if I'm doing my math correctly, which better double check on that shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Legitimately 6 players out of the 25-man roster, the projected 25-man roster of the Philadelphia Phillies are over the age of 30.
So 2.4% of their players on their 25-man roster are over 30.
Yes. This team is going to be good. It is going to be like, and the weird thing about this is, it's going to be weird when they're going to be good because because they're not projected to look good. Remember when the Chicago White Sox did the trade with Boston for Chris Sale? They get all these guys. And then they do another trade to get all these guys, with the Yankees, with David Robertson. We saw that. Those were big money trades because David Robertson was a really great reliever and Chris Sale was a really great pitcher. But the Phillies are doing this in-house, underneath our noses, pretty much. It tells you how these players were acquired. Like, just back to the
international signings
and draft. Carlos Santana is the only guy to get it from free agency. There was some trades with players, but these guys weren't in the MLB. Like, if I go through the service time before 2018, Hernandez has only played 3 years. Herrera, 3 years. Santana, 7 years. Ray Hoskins, .05. Nick Williams, .94. Maikel Franco, 2 years under his belt. J.P. Crawford, .027. And Jorge Alfaro, .038. So they don't even have, a couple of guys don't even have a point something. They haven't even played a month in this. And that's how crazy this is. And, I wasn't even going to be talking about the Phillies on here. Because, again, trying to look at the future, I should say near future. I almost said recent future, which I said that once in an interview, and it became the homebrew that I made. So, recent future American wheat. Anyway, for that, we're looking towards the 2018 season. We do not see them there. We do not see them playing or vying for a playoff spot at all. I don't see it. But
2019, 2020?
Yeah, we're going to see shifts. We're not only going to see, the Phillies in there. We're going to be seeing the Chicago White Sox in there. We're going to be seeing, maybe, if everything works correctly, in the disastrous glass house they have, the Miami Marlins. Maybe see something. I mean, we can't say New York Yankees now because they're there. But other teams that are, that were quiet into the night are going to be there in a couple years. And if we're still here, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say a team this offseason that wasn't so quiet in the night was the Rockies.
Which, phenomenal last year. I remember when we were debating, 1 and 2 were pretty simple. We were debating Dodgers-Giants. And then we kind of had that feeling for the 3-4 spot. We were kind of indifferent with, are the Arizona Diamondbacks going to do it? Are the Colorado Rockies going to do it? I believe, if I remember correctly, I think you had the Diamondbacks at third. I had the Rockies at third. But it was just like, we weren't expecting this. And that's another team. That we weren't expecting at all. And just, let me go back to looking at the transactions real quick.
Well, right now, in their bullpen, they re-signed Greg Holland.
Mm-hmm.
They went out, got Brian Shaw, and signed Wade Davis, and they got Chris Iannetta, and they got Jake McGee.
Mm-hmm.
When you are having a bullpen that can go Shaw, Holland, Davis, Royals fan remember when it used to go Davis then Holland.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah. And it's going to happen again.
Yeah, because Greg Holland went out to the Rockies and had a phenomenal year. He had a rough July. But after that rough July, he was able to turn it around. Well, Wade Davis had a good year. There's some arguments that he was hurt, so on and so forth. But he's still Wade goddamn Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Shaw, great relief pitcher for the Indians.
Mm-hmm.
The Rockies aren't messing around.
No, not at all.
They have the highest paid bullpen in the history of the major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
They took that Royals model and just kind of blew it up and spent way more money than anyone else has on their bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
That team's gonna be interesting to watch because their starting pitchers only need to go 6 innings, if that. When you can tell your starting pitching, hey, get us through 6, and you can just work down the line. What can you really do with that?
I'm with you right there.
You don't have to have, out of those 3 guys, you don't have to be like, you're the closer.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it based on matchups at that point.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm just looking at the roster resource at the moment, and I believe Greg Holland might have signed that qualifying offer. It doesn't say, but he was given one. Anyway, still, Wade Davis, Jake McGee, Brian Shaw, Adam Ottavino, which he did well for them last year. Those guys, and if Holland wants to come back, like I said, given the qualifying offer, 5 guys in the bullpen that will do damage. Oh man, hell, that's even better than half their starting pitching. John Gray, really good. Chad Bettis, great. Tyler Anderson did well. German Marquez, and then Kyle Freeland, which he's done a little bit. Can't hate on him though, but it's just like these guys. That bullpen is going to make anybody look silly. But they have to get to the 6th. They have to get to the 7th for that to happen. I mean, they got the bats to do it. And I mean, Blackmon, LeMahieu, Arenado, Parra, Trevor Story, whenever he wants to actually, get back into the mix.
Mark Reynolds.
Yeah, well, Mark Reynolds, I believe, signed somewhere else.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that on the. I've not seen.
Or I think he went. Yeah. I don't think. Yeah, he's a free agent.
Did you mention Ian Desmond?
Ian Desmond, he's still there. I mean, Chris Iannetta.
And he can play first base. He can play where the hell he wants.
Pretty much. Even though they project him to be in the left field, which I think
makes sense.
I guess, yeah, it does make sense. But it's just like they got the bats. They've had the bats for a while. They've just been trying to, I guess, create a pitching system up in the Rockies.
That would work.
And no pun intended.
And this pitching system will pitch anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just not a system designed specifically for their 82 games at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's a system that will kick your ass on the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's a system that if they make it to the playoffs, your starting pitcher can go 4 innings and they're okay with that.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of brought it up earlier, because I know that I've talked about it many of times this past season, that the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers were really good on the road. And I just want to, make sure that I'm still up top, still knowing what the hell I'm talking about. Because I know the road record was really good. And, oh yeah, standings. I'm looking at stats. Standings. Here we go. Colorado Rockies on the road, 41-40. At home, 46-35.
Okay, so they can just improve upon that road record with good bullpen pitching.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They play above 500 baseball on the road, and that's what you want. You want 500 or better.
I mean, it's a rarity because I didn't do shit in our MLBeers league this year. My road record was abysmal. I mean, it was horrible, and it shows.
If an MLB team can win at home, that's all gravy.
Mm-hmm.
But the great teams win well on the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
and
go
the Rockies,
ahead.
The Rockies were just above average.
Yeah,
just above that 500.
And just to supplant that, the Houston Astros, World Series champions, on the road, 53-28.
That's what I mean.
53-28, folks. The only team to tie that up is the Cleveland Indians. And they lost to a team that could win at home, which was the New York Yankees with a 51-30 record, which is the high. I mean. Yeah.
If the Rockies can turn around that 51-40 road record, or 41-40 road record, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To 49-53 wins, they have the potential to take the Dodgers and make the Dodgers be a wild card team.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Dodgers don't have a lot of money to do a lot of stuff. They're over their luxury tax, but they already have a good team in place.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, and just go ahead.
The Rockies just went full on head first against the Dodgers to compete.
Mm-hmm.
They knew what they needed to do.
Mm-hmm. And just to add another little stat, you were talking about head-to-head against the Dodgers. The Colorado Rockies went 10-9 against the Dodgers. Right. So I mean, so the Rockies have the opportunity to take over the Dodgers with these signings, these ridiculous signings.
And that's what I mean. Like, the Rockies were almost there last year. they were a few missteps, a couple missteps along the season caused them not to be there.
Yeah, and of course the 1-game playoff always likes to do
hard.
that.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But in a 1-game playoff, if you bring a bullpen of Shaw, McGee, Davis, and Holland, how are you going to do with that?
Mm-hmm.
You throw your best starting pitcher out there and say, hey, go give me 5. We'll pinch hit for you in the 5th. Run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just work your way down the line. And theoretically, those 4 guys can go 1, 2, 3 to the best hitters in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean. You can use those guys purely on matchups. Oh, hey, who's coming up next for whatever team they're playing? Who has seen them the most statistically, and who pitches the best against them?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I mean, I agree. I mean, if you know how a team is going to do against these, against another team, use it to your advantage. I mean, the Colorado Rockies needed, had some team needs, and they've got it, and now they're going to be a force to reckon with. And really, to be honest with you, I mean, of course, they're going to have a run for the NL West, but I mean, the Dodgers are going to be a tough one, and I really think the Dodgers are somehow going to come out on top only because of money. Because they have the money, because they have the players to do it. But then again, I mean, we're saying this before the season's even started. We're seeing this before even, practice pitches are even in with catchers and pitchers reporting. So, I mean, this could change. We could see Colorado Rockies, have a almost injury-free season, because that is the kind of the difference maker between a great season and a good season.
If Holland signing with the Rockies had any influence with Davis signing there,
I do not know. I think it's all depends on the money.
Pure speculation. Yeah, money and speculation. But look what Holland and Davis were able to do in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it will help Holland actually find a place.
Find
because
that groove again.
Yeah, find that groove again. But I mean, you never know. And
he had Holland in his ear, who was an experienced relief pitcher, and Wade Davis was making that transition.
Mm-hmm.
Wade Davis was making that transition to being a mediocre at best starting pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Holland in his bullpen in his ear, because at that level, I would assume as a player, you're going to listen to whoever's doing well, whoever's the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, Holland was it.
Mm-hmm. And
what's not to say that Holland was talking to Davis and had something to do with him signing there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, the 3 years that they were there together, they did magic. They did magic. Yeah, one of the best bullpens of all time.
Yeah, only one's missing is Kelvin.
Mm-hmm.
But they got that in a guy with Brian Shaw, though. They got that kind of player.
Yeah, and I mean, Jake McGee is almost the same too. He's just a been a Rocky through and through. He wasn't from somewhere else. He is the true blue.
That's what I mean. Just that a player like Kelvin Herrera is pretty typical for a bullpen.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
you get 3 of those guys together in a bullpen, though. It's unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. Like you said, get those 3 guys in there. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. And besides loving on the Rockies for their trades, pickups, I should say. I mean, you got to look at these other signings real quick just to just to fill them out. Like, looking at all of this, I mean, I know the Chicago Cubs signed a couple guys. They signed Steve Cishek and Brandon
Brandon.
Morrow when they were they signed them in the free agency. Minnesota Twins, I know have heard a lot, of getting players, but they got Michael Pineda and Fernando Rodney. Another thing, you already brought it up earlier, is Freddie Galvis went to the Padres for a minor leaguer. The two things that I want to bring up real quick in depth. One is the St. Louis Cardinals traded Stephen Piscotty to the Athletics for a couple of good prospects. But it was kind of, it was sad for Cardinals fans for him to leave, but it's a feel-good story. It is a feel-good story. As if you all don't know, that his mom was diagnosed with ALS earlier last season, and playing away from where they're from, which they are from the Bay Area. With that, it's probably difficult on him. He probably, he did have a down year per se, but you never know. That might have been, part of his psyche when all that happened. But, now he's back home in the Bay Area. He's playing for the A's, which as a child, he was an A's fan. He posted it on his Instagram. So that's kind of the feel-good story. And another kind of feel-good story, I have to say the Tampa Bay Rays trade Evan Longoria to the Giants for Christian Arroyo and Denard Span. Why I kind of say this is kind of a feel-good is because Evan Longoria is going to be, I would say, Mr. Ray, or Devil Ray, whatever you want to put it as. And because he's done so much for that organization during his time there, but from what we see every day on MLB trade rumors and all that stuff, it seemed like Evan Longoria was not. It seemed like the Rays were going into a rebuild mode because they want to give up, Alex Cobb,
and what the Red Sox and Yankees are doing. It's going to be hard for them to compete.
Not only that, but they're, willing to give up guys. Oh my God, I can't even think of the other guy's name. Chris Archer, thank you. And I think this was kind of a good thing. Of course, the Giants have always had a third baseman problem, even when they were winning titles. This is kind of, supplants Evan Longoria there, make sure that he is third baseman while they give up a really good prospect in Christian Arroyo and Denard, and giving up a long-time outfielder, Denard Span, which will definitely be a good veteran presence for the Tampa Bay Rays, which, again, I hope it works out for, not only for Evan Longoria, but back to the other trade with Stephen Piscotty. I hope everything works out and all that stuff. But anyway, is there anything else that you would like to add from all the trades that have been happening? There's a bunch, but those were kind of the standout ones that I saw.
Yeah, and no, that's before we go into beer, that's really it. Except for right now, the stove is heating up for the Eric Hosmer talk. But
yeah, which that's kind of the
right now it just seems like a bidding war between the Padres and the Royals.
Yeah, and that's
the Royals reportedly offered him $147 million 7 years. Padres offered him $140 million 7 years. And if that contract is true, Hosmer signs it with the Royals, he'll technically be the highest paid player in franchise history.
Really, I did not know that.
But until that actually happens, it's all rumors at this point. Like, there's nothing confirmed. Dayton Moore didn't confirm or deny the offered contract.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really,
and it's kind of the same. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just until that card drops, there's not a lot else going on right now.
And it's kind of the same thing with J.D. Martinez and the Chicago Red Sox. The Chicago Red Sox. That's a great mashup right there. the Boston Red Sox, supposedly JD Martinez would be getting, I believe it was 5-year, 160. I know I went high pitched on there, but it's
but it's all rumor at this point.
yeah, and like we talk about all the time, it's kind of hard to really say, okay, yeah, we're good with that. It's just like what it's it's for us. It's just like, okay, I mean, you can have that and all that stuff, but it's just rumor. There's nothing really confirmed about confirmed about this. I mean, getting onto a website just to look at that money real quick, it's just like, what is going to be, what is going to happen? Because this is the moment where things are going to change. This might be where it's finally, the door finally cracks open, and then we'll see,
all the other cards drop.
Yeah, the other cards fall. I mean, to everybody that watches, probably MLB Network or pays attention to Bleacher Report, MLB, trade rumors, Twitter, whatever, trade rumors, yada, yada, yada. I can try to name them all in a couple seconds, but it's just that when there's nothing really confirmed at all we're seeing, like right now, I'm looking at Bleacher Report, MLB, and it's like, it shows everything that, they follow, and it's just like, all right, this is an Instagram post of which center fielder had the best glove. Oh, wait, there's a video of Jose Altuve playing stickball. So it's just like, it's like nothing's going on, really. Unless you're paying attention to minor league baseball, there's trades going on with that. But
yeah,
besides that, nothing much.
It's directly affecting the major league club.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And, besides that, let's get to our other favorite part of the show. Let's talk about the beers real quick. And Phil, what beer are you having today?
Today, I'm having Boulevard's Tank 7 Farmhouse Ale.
Delicious choice, if I may say.
Yes, one of their best beers. Not the best of theirs, but one of.
I mean, if you talk to the American Home Brewing Society, they might say something else. I believe it's a top 10 beer or top 5.
That's fine.
Which is fine. Oh, this is not the greatest beer that Boulevard makes, and then it's just like, yeah, it's top 5 in the nation. I'm just messing with you, but I mean, you enjoy it. That's the thing, right?
No, I do. Yeah, I love it. It's very good freaking beer. Like, when you first pour it, what you're gonna get is you're gonna get a huge whiff of like some fruity aroma. And then, once you drink a little bit more, you're going to get some like grapefruit kind of hoppy notes from it. Mm-hmm. It's like a straw-colored ale. And then when it finishes, it's a little spicy like pepper, and it finishes dry.
Okay. Yeah, I've had it before, and I'm just like, that does sound delicious. But I mean, Tank 7.
It's a Belgian-style ale.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you get Belgian style, most, especially the farmhouses, they're going to be that straw colored. And the flavor in it, it's going to have a lot of fruitiness to it. Mm-hmm. Not like tropical fruit, but just that fruity grapefruit type. Where it's going to be not extremely bitter, but it's going to have a little bit of tartness to it.
I like how you bring up grapefruit and saying it's not tropical. I like it. I can't hate on it. There we go.
Have you ever tried to eat a grapefruit? Just a straight grapefruit.
No.
Don't. It's freaking awful.
Well, I bet, because you're eating the dang rind off of it.
Well, cut it open and eat it right.
But... Okay. No, I've had grapefruit, and I enjoy them very much.
I do not. They're awful.
That's why my brother likes the tropical pale ale from Boulevard.
Yeah.
But anyway, not talking about me. I'm not drinking the tropical pale ale from Boulevard, but I am having something from Boulevard. Huh?
You went vintage.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only that. Not only vintage. Well, I guess you would say vintage for discontinued beer that Boulevard made back in 2014, and this has been aged for a very long time. Aged not at my house or any places that I've lived, but aged in a good old liquor store that is in our hometown, and it is the Boulevard's Harvest Dance, which is a wheat wine style ale. And before I give you kind of the taste profile, the taste profile that I got from it, I'm going to tell you the little summary on the back. John Barleycorn is memorialized in England folk song as the personification of the barley plant, sacrificed at harvest time and later reborn as an ale. Our Harvest Dance wheat wine is a celebration of John's Midwestern cousin, wheat. Beginning with a large portion of wheat malt, we add an equally generous helping of Hallertalt and Citra hops and age the ale on both French and American oak. The result is a big, warming burst of tropical fruit flavors, highlighted by subtle wine-like notes and rounding slowly to a long, dry, oaky finish. Again, I should do books on tape.
That's what it sounds like.
But yeah, to me,
yeah,
I mean, to me, for this beer though, it kind of reminds me of two beers that are, I guess, siblings to each other, both Belgian ales, like you brought up earlier with the farmhouse style of Tank 7, but the Tripel Carmelie and the Delirium Tremens, it tastes very similar to those, in my opinion. And like it said, it's light, but it has that nice fruit taste to it, tropical fruit taste, I should say. Has a little bit of, you can taste the hops a little bit, and it's been aged, so there could be a different profile than day one, the birthing of the beer.
So you're drinking it not as the brewers intended.
I guess so. I mean, but then again, usually Boulevard is good about what. Oh, nice. So yeah, Boulevard is usually good about what proper glass you should use, and I am currently using the tulip glass that they recommend. So I am somewhat drinking it properly for what the brewer has intended. But since this was made back in 2014, and now it's 2018, it's had a lovely vintage to it, and I really enjoy it. I mean,
I was like, I had it when it came out,
mm-hmm.
and I probably bought one bottle of it, and that was it.
I mean, understandable. Nothing wrong with that. But I mean, if you look at it, it's probably a golden color. I would say not as straw-like. I mean, just looking at it, nothing. It's not straw-like your Tank 7 or any farmhouse styles.
And when we say straw-like, think of it's straw-colored, but with this kind of beer, it's going to be it has a little haziness to it.
Yeah.
It's filtered. It's not unfiltered.
Mm-hmm.
It's filtered, but with the recipe and the way they brew it, it's just naturally a little hazy.
Yeah. And since it's been sitting there for quite a while, it has a little bit of a, as you would call...
How the
Huh?
carbonation hold? How did the carbonation hold up?
Carbonation is holding pretty good for what it is. I mean, earlier it was really good. I mean, the start of the podcast, really great carbonation. I mean, of course, when the bottle's been open and it's been sitting out for a while, the carbonation relaxes. But I mean, it holds it up pretty well. I mean, being a tulip glass and how, I don't know with other tulip glasses, but with Boulevards, it has the little bubble at the stem. It kind of creates
laser etching.
Yeah, it kind of creates the a little bit of a bubbling inside, a little aeration, agitation to it. Not so much, but I mean overall, I think it's it still holds the carbonation well. I'm not gonna say 100%, but probably 75%, and it's really good. I mean, I think I could see this, if they wanted to, bring it back for 2018, 2019 if they want. But, I mean, every time I bring up Harvest Dance, wherever I talk about social media, people are like, that's an enjoyable beer. And, like, even, I believe he is head brewmaster of Boulevard Brewing Company, but Jeremy Danner.
No, he's their ambassador. He's not.
Okay.
He's not head brewer at all.
Okay. See, thank you for the clarification. I like that. Anyway, ambassador. Now he sounds regal. But anyway, he talked about it when I brought it up in one group, and then, with the whole Hosmer thing going down today, I was like, yeah, I'll just crack open the Harvest Dance, and he was like on Twitter. So it's just like, this is a really, really good beer. I know that, with the Smokestack series, it all depends who the brewmaster is, I guess, because, they don't make this anymore. They make other, Smokestack series, which they are pretty freaking delicious. So I'm not going to hate on that at all. So, I mean, that's what I'm drinking today. And I'm, it's pretty early, I guess, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's how I'm going to treat it, folks. And you know what? Phil, do you have any other words to say? Do you have any comments or questions, or any other things? So anyway.
Ailment. This chest cold that has left me sniffling and coughing.
Hey, you'll get better. Don't worry. I mean, hey, we're only a couple weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting. So you're going to feel much better when that happens. So anyway, for us here, if you're listening to us on our website, we are also on iTunes, SoundCloud, and TuneIn. If you did or didn't hear before our podcast started, we are part of the Tangent Bound Network, which has a multitude of genres of pop culture. I believe there's a wrestling one. Phil, I know that you know more about the Tangent Bound Network than I do. I know one of your favorite podcasts is on there, correct?
Oh, yeah, listen to the Salty Language guys. So, go ahead and check them out. Then I'm also, they're not on Tangent Bound Network, but I've been listening to Shot of History.
Okay.
Shameless plug. So it's just like a little 30-minute little nugget of history. They're fun to listen to.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, I bring up Sully Baseball podcast, which that is not on the Tangent Bound Network. Also, I talk about Out of the Park Baseball, which they're not out on, which are not on the Tangent Bound Network. But getting back to this, if you want to contact us, we have an email, which is at majorleaguebeers@gmail.com. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Untapped, which is pretty much beer social media, where whatever beer you're having, You post it on there. You can rate it if you want. You can take a picture of it, say where you're having it, yada, yada, yada. Pretty much what you already do on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Just, it is a appropriate place for beer. And of course, we just started a new thing. We are officially on Twitch, so we're going to be doing all the fun, exciting stuff with Out of the Park Baseball, and possibly, if I can work the kinks out a little bit, maybe go live with a podcast or so we can, just have a friendly, chat with the fans, and hopefully they will, ask us questions, maybe give us a comment, maybe call us out on BS. I do not know, but we are officially on Twitch, which, of course, I already have one video already up, which is the Major League Beers League Championship, which is a Out of the Park Baseball online league that we are a part of. I am the commissioner. Phil is part of it also, like I said, and pretty much we're playing in the 1970s with defunct teams. Phil is the Kansas City Athletics. I am the St. Louis Browns, and we have a couple people from our Twitter group, which, again, if you want to be a part of that, just contact us and we'll add you there. But some of our people that are a part of our Twitter group are in this league, and so far none of the human teams won it. The Washington Senators won it in 4-1, but it's still very exciting just to see how Out of the Park Baseball is played. Definitely there's going to be more. I'm going to be switching over the historical showdowns onto Twitch, then of course going to post them on YouTube, then try to end the Lucky Sevens tournament, which will be missing the second half of the season, which is totally my fault, which I've already brought up on Twitter if you follow us. So there's a lot of things going on. So, and like I said, I know we're a month and a half, maybe less than a month and a half away from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. So, that's pretpretty much it. Of course, if you want to contact us individually, I have my Twitter at RealAWS13. And Phil, what is yours?
At Philco816.
Alrighty, so again, that will do it here for us for the MLBeers podcast. And of course, enjoy your day, but our motto at the end of it all, our motto, our creed, our saying, win or lose, there is always booze.